today's video, I will be planting up a sunny window box for the fall and winter season. And I'll show you what's in it before, what's in it now. I did a video back in the spring of planting it for spring and summer. It's been interesting to see it over the course of the last few months and what has taken over, what has died out. All of that, I like to try new things every time. But I have in front of me here the plant material that I'll be using. For my big structure, I love to use a winter ornamental green. And this one, I loved the yellow stems. This is a Swiss chard called Oriole. And then this is actually a perennial. I will plant this out in my garden when I'm done. This is a red-leafed dock. It's also an ornamental green, but not one that we would eat. Another name for it is red-veined sorrel, or Rumex saying you know. You said that right. Rumex is saying you know. So these will both get bulk on them to help kind of fill the structure of the space. And then, of course, I want something blooming. I want something trailing. I really like the wave trailing pansies. I've had great success with these in the past. This variety is called Cool Wave Frost. I always think about what is going to look good from afar and also what is going to look good out my window. So I want to be able to see something popping up above the line of the window. I look out my kitchen sink at this window box. And I'm also thinking about, okay, as someone walks in the front door, they're walking by on the road, driving by, not that they're really going to get a great view of the window box, but is there anything that will show up from far away? And white tends to do better than a darker color as far as that goes. I also have a variety of Snapdragons Speedy Sonnet White. This one is one of the taller ones. I like the taller Snapdragons, and if they're supported, they won't flop the way sometimes you'll see them in the pack. So these aren't too tall yet. They'll be supported by other plants. Again, these will be the spires that I'll see out the window. And then I always like to have one surprise in every container planting. I've talked about this before. We don't have to go all annuals. We don't even have to go all herbaceous. Sometimes we can go with a woody plant or something that's not really going to stay in there long term. It's a little bit of a sneak just for a season. And for this one, I loved this ornamental oregano. This is called Kent Beauty, and it is more showy on these flowers and the bracts. Mostly what we're seeing here is the bracts, not just the flowers, so they'll stick around for a while. And it's kind of a trailing variety, so I'll put it at the front along with these pansies. So I just thought it was a fun textural difference. It's sort of a bloom, not totally, but it really works well with these other things. So I will be planting that up and I will show you when it's done.
Here's a last look at the spring-summer window box. And I wanted to just give a recap because I think it's really interesting to see what things look like after several months in a container. To me, it's very educational and revealing. So I'll put a link to what this looked like when it first went in. And the interesting thing is some of the stuff has totally disappeared. Other stuff has done great. Like this trailing verbena has been a showstopper. So full. Bloomed all summer. The euphorbia, same. Angelonia has done awesome. The other things that were in here, now I can't even remember what they were, but they are pretty much swallowed or dead or just didn't persist like these things did. So I will take notes. I will remember this for next season. Probably won't do exactly the same thing, but I will definitely be reusing this trailing verbena. I've loved it. So now I can, with a clear conscience, go ahead and take all this out and get ready to plant all of my new fun fall things. Window box is empty and ready to plant. I will not top off the soil until after I get all the plants in here. That will be the easiest thing. I'm surprised I didn't lose more soil volume, but I'm sure I'll be pulling out roots as I go. So I'll place everything first, then I will plant them all, then top it off. I really did intend to film the actual planting of the box. However, my phone died and I did not realize it. So the box is planted, it's a new day. We'll say hello to our little lizard friend here and go check out the end result. I'm very happy with this. I think it's just the right amount of plants. I like my ratio of bulk items to front spillers. I do think it's a wise thing to measure your box dimensions before you go to the garden center and take a measuring tape with you. So if you need a visual of how much to buy, you have your measuring tape, you can set it on a cart or on a table and actually lay out your plants in person. By now I've been doing this enough that I feel pretty confident, but at first when I started, I would never buy enough and I would get them home and then it would take all season to look like anything. A brief note on this style of basket. It is probably the cheapest way to get a hanging basket on your house under your window. If I get through 2 full years with one liner, I've done pretty well. So it's not maintenance free. I wanted to show you here kind of how this one is disintegrating. This will be its last rotation. When it comes to the spring, I'll have to pull everything out of this. I'll replace wholesale. I'll start with new potting soil. I will top it with Osmocote. I've heard every 2 weeks. I am not quite that diligent, but maybe once a month I come through and top it off. That just keeps the hungrier annuals like the pansies blooming well all season. If you don't feed them, they kind of tend to peter out and don't bloom very well. So it's important to keep topping them off. As a last little vignette of this video, I thought it would be fun to show you one of the planters that I did in the spring that I feel like has also been really successful. A key plant overlap here is the Diamond Frost Euphorbia. You saw it in the box where it was in the sun. You can see how much more leggy it got in the shade, but it worked really well with the Caladium, which was super happy. I would do this combination again. Before too long here, I will have to take this out. I might try to save the Caladium. I'll plant this with something else for the fall-winter season.
I think containers are such a fun place to experiment, and I try something different every season. So stay tuned. I'll probably post an update at some point on how this container does so you can see how it matures in. The biggest thing to pay attention with a container is light and moisture compatibility. And then everything else is just how it looks. Do you like how it looks? Are you happy with these textures together? Doesn't always have to follow thriller, spiller, filler, although if you are new to container design, that is a great place to start. I hope you have a great week in your own gardens and happy planting.